They say you running plays, that's ish talk. You say you getting paid, that's ish talk. You see me with my babe, that's ish talk. The money in the way, that's ish talk. I beg, I
Yo,
beg, I
kiddies,
beg, I beg.
wakey, wakey.
I beg, I
Y'all
beg, I
know what it
beg
is.
you
You're
all.
tuning in to
They say
another
you bought a
episode
car
of
from
the
Dante.
Lord
Who said
Show,
it?
Ish
Who said
Talk
we on? They
TV.
say you running
It's
plays,
a
that's ish
beautiful
talk.
Wednesday, August 14th. I hope you got some kush at the crib, some cat in the bed, and some cash in your pocket. What more can be said? All right, this episode, I'm trying to sell something, y'all. So listen, hit me up in the chat. All right, this episode, I'm trying to sell my new product, which is the Kamala Harris flip flops. Okay, it comes in all different sizes and all different colors, whatever you want. You can have brown one day and Punjabi on the next color. Curry color the next day. Okay, different sizes. And also, my next product I'm trying to sell, white people ain't even got this yet, y'all. The JD Vance Lane Bryant collection collab. All right, hillbilly lingerie. When it hits the streets, it's gonna be rolling. All right, trust me. All right, reporting live from the DMV, the nation's capital, Gotham City. I mean DC, y'all. Oh, y'all not gonna believe this happened to me, man. I saw a carjacking going on outside my house, outside the window, man. It's that serious out here. I'm not sure if y'all saw on we have somebody stole carjacked a mail truck. Can y'all believe this? Yeah, what's going on in these streets? Gotham City, I swear. And what's terrible about it was my mother's life insurance policy check was in there. That was my truck. Okay. On U Street, I'm sorry, it was on M Street, Southeast. Whoever took my mother's life collection, my life insurance check, y'all can go to hell. All right. You know how hard it is to talk to Colonial Penn? But what can we do, y'all? We living in hell right now. But to sort this thing out, I have these two professionals in the house. My first guest, I'm gonna call her a civil rights activist. She might not want to be called that, but that's what she is in my heart. Civil rights activist and chief political strategist and foodie. THERYN
Hey y'all.
Bond in the house, y'all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you already know how she gonna keep her word. Thank you so much for coming through, sister.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And the next guest we got is a soldier. My second guest is an Air Force veteran, former candidate for Congress, and author of the book Black Values Matter. We got Bernie Flowers in the house, B Flow in the house. Watch your mouth.
Brian, thank you for having me.
I'm honored to have both of you guys here on this lovely morning. Y'all ready to get to this? My first question to y'all is, how long is it going to take for me to get my check back? Because
Man, I think you got out of luck on that one.
You might have to ask for that direct deposit.
I waited 2 weeks for that. My mother died the same day Trump got shot. So I
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
see.
listen, I just went through this in January. So my mother passed in January. It's not gonna take long to get the check. If you call them, they will reissue one. It's not gonna take long though. I just went through this. So I'm telling you what I know.
My
Sorry for your
condolences.
luck. Yeah, yeah, I get it. So I get it. But yes, they will resend the check.
I wanted that check, but what can we do, y'all? Yeah, this carjacking. This mail track. What is it? Mail jacking happened this Monday, and they got the person. But I need my damn check. But
Who steals a mail truck?
who steals a mail truck? You
That's
know,
a federal offense.
It is.
what can it just what can we do in this city, y'all? And we got this Charles Allen recall thing. If Bernie, I'm not sure if you know, but in DC, it was this big recall. It was like for 6 months, recall posters everywhere. Um, trying to get Charles Allen out of the his Ward 6 spot.
Oh, I am very familiar. And from what I understand, I don't live in DC, but I keep up with DC politics, and I get down there very often. I lived there for a while years ago, probably before you guys were born. But the issue of the day is that he has allowed crime to be increased instead of decreased. And the job of the government is to decrease crime and make things safe for the families and the residents. And it seems to be that he is pandering to people who would vote for him by basically saying, if you commit a felon, you would be charged. Let me get this straight, 24 years old when the commission of the crime happened, then you would be treated as a juvenile. And that is very irresponsible. And I believe it makes people unsafe. Maybe that person who stole that mail truck is one of those who, below.
He was already got locked up, and when he came out, the first thing he saw was a mail truck.
Oh,
and my mama's check.
Maybe.
Well,
So oddly enough, right, this is actually the ward that I will be living in. This is the ward that my address will be
welcome.
in. I know, right? So I visited this ward, obviously as a visitor and not as a 100% resident at the time, but I visited this ward. I walked this ward. I went into Union Station. I walked down 8th Street. I patronized some of the businesses. I got on the streetcar. I've looked up who my council member will be, who is obviously Charles Allen. And what it seems to me is he's very progressive. He aligns a lot with things that I value personally. And seeing in my hometown how we have a very progressive DA, the very same thing they are attacking Charles Allen for are very similar to what they attacked Shelby County in Memphis's district attorney, Steve Mulroy, for, like very same things, like believing in juvenile rehabilitation, believing in expansion of things like transportation, just very progressive things, and believing that not necessarily that police should be abolished, because that's not what he has implied, but he has implied that there are resources that exist that would be better fit for community programs, things that would directly impact people. And those are things that Charles Allen has pushed. He's also pushed to increase literacy rates. He has a program called Books from Birth. He's done rebates from home security cameras. He's gotten better access for the ballot box. He's established a maternal mortality review committee. So these are all very progressive things. And when it comes down to legislation or referendums or ordinances that have been passed at the council level, what this all goes back to is he is one man, one vote. It takes more council members to get anything passed. So he didn't do this alone. This is just his ward that maybe has some elevated numbers. But I'll also note that I spoke to another council member off the record who let me know that a lot of people that were behind the push for this recall were people that were not native DC residents also.
Apparently,
so we got to look at the message and where it's coming from.
Apparently, it was a big super PAC.
Apparently, the people who live there aren't happy. Figures. People who live there are not happy. And you should be, look, the way I see things, having defended this country for a very, very long time, 34 years behind the fence. If little old ladies can't walk down the street, any street at midnight, then we're wrong. We pay huge amounts of taxes. And this man apparently has taken away significant funding from the police department and removed somewhat of 500 officers or something to that effect. I don't know exactly the number, but a significant
Did he do it single-handed though? Did he do it by himself?
It doesn't matter whether he did it by himself. He has a responsibility to so you're going to get rid of the whole council?
That's not who requested a recall. And to be more specific, it takes 10% of the registered voters in a ward, which those folks pushing for the recall did not mean the threshold, which means that the majority of people in Ward 6 that are active in the process are content with the service that they are receiving by Councilmember Allen. So
Well,
yes,
if that's the
oh, right,
case,
you
ma'am,
should be able to walk down the street and be okay. I should be able to walk down the street
you
and be
should.
okay. And I was able to walk down the street, be okay. I'm also not a person that has a permit to carry a weapon. I have very specific thoughts around that. But I was able to walk down the street by myself in the daylight, in the evening, and nothing happened. Do things happen? Is crime high? Yes, but not just in Ward 6, not just specifically in any of the other wards. Even from my hometown in Memphis, crime is high across this city, in the impoverished areas of town, and also in the very elite areas of town. And that's whether we have 500 or 5,000 police. It doesn't matter. Increased police presence does not equate to
Well, ma'am,
the lowering of
before you
crime.
get further into that, can you give me some stats on that about the idea that increased police presence don't equate to lower crime?
We've seen that.
When
We've
have we
seen that
seen? Well,
across
I
the
asked for some statistics.
we've seen that across the
I asked
country.
for some
More
statistics.
we've had a full complement of police officers in Memphis, as we've
Well, we're talking about
seen
DC.
in other places. Still crime is increased. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that says high number of police equals lower crime.
I
Nowhere.
well, I
Nowhere
asked
does
you
it.
for those
And
And
to
statistics,
be
ma'am.
more,
Ma'am,
I,
I didn't come here to argue. I just
I
asked
would
for some
say,
stats.
I would say, Bernie, you know that stats can be manipulated.
I I'm a
correct.
data-driven person. I worked in cybersecurity for 34 years. Give me some numbers or I just waste of time.
Well, what the number was for the
How many
recall,
officer shootings have we had where Black and brown folks have lost their life, and still police budgets still take up 60% of city budgets across this country? Yet they keep killing us and they keep getting funded more and more, but crime still doesn't go down.
Here's the thing. Our families have been attacked. Crime stops when you keep your families together. And right now, our families have been driven apart. And when the families have been driven apart and there's no male in the household to stop these young men from doing the things that they do, then things go south and you
So why
have
don't
higher
we have
crime.
men in the household? Now we get into a whole deeper discussion, but
I
why don't we
gotta,
have men in the
Well,
household?
I don't know what you said, ma'am.
Why don't we have men staying in the household?
Well, ma'am, I've been married 36 years. My children are older than you. And one's an engineer and one's a government worker, and I'm a grandfather. So I
You
stay
know
with
how
my
old
family.
are they? We're making a lot of assumptions on your side.
Well,
I'm almost
you
old.
asked me why don't men
I'm
stay in the
40 years
household, and
old.
I'm telling you I've been married 36 years, and the issue is my brother and my sister, we've all been married over 30 years, and we got successful families.
Well,
that's
then you
great.
can't
That's great,
speak
Bernie.
to broken families. You can't speak about broken families
But
because
you
that's not
just
an
said
experience.
men, and you generalized.
I asked why men were leaving. No, I actually why men were leaving the home, since you said that was the cause of some of these broken down
But you
families,
said
which
you
in turn,
generalized, ma'am. I don't want to argue with you. But the issue
no,
is, you
I
said
took exactly
men.
what you said. I
Okay.
took exactly why are men leaving the household.
Oh, and you said that, and so that implies all men.
No, it doesn't. I asked you as a man.
I
Okay,
just told you I've been
Yeah,
married
it's
36 years.
okay. It's okay not to have an answer. It's always
we
okay.
gotta,
I just gave you an answer.
we have to go,
No, you
we
don't
have to go
know.
to the tweets, y'all. We
Yeah,
have to go to this Charles Allen tweets
absolutely.
because Bernie, like you, I agree with you, but he got into a lot of heat. I would say around the 2020. What's the name of the guy?
George Floyd.
George Floyd. And a lot of people were putting out some policies that were far left, like Seattle and stuff like that, right? So can y'all, what do y'all say about looking back at this in 2020 and how everything's changed and how this defund the police? But I guess y'all already ain't no daddies in the house. ADHD, right, Bernie? Ain't a daddy in the
I
house
see it.
disorder.
Well, here's the thing, the way I see it, if you go back to the George Floyd thing, look at, I believe it was it St. Paul, Minnesota, where it all happened, or what was that town?
Oh, I just know it was a lot of Somalians. That's all I know.
Now, but the issue of the day is if you look there, and I checked it out, I can't remember because I wasn't expecting this question, but the issue of the day is that town has deteriorated significantly. People don't
Right.
live there. The major businesses have moved out. CVS, they have no grocery stores. Um, they don't have doctors' offices. They don't have dentist offices because the people, the businesses have moved away because of high crime.
And it's a Democratic run city, state.
There you go. So, ma'am.
So let's be very, very clear that the reason that George Floyd is not alive today is because a police officer
She brought it back.
Put his knee on that man's neck, and as a result, he lost his breath, suffocated, and died. And there were other police officers in the vicinity that watched it happen and allowed it. So if we are our brother and our sister's keeper in that moment, that was null and void because they did not do what they swore an oath to do, which was protect and serve. They instead protected their own and did not serve the public. Let's be clear about that's what George Floyd was. Now, you also had protests with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, all centered around police brutality, police overreach, police response. But you want to continue to fund the things that are killing people that look like us on this. There is never going to be a happy medium of adequate police dollars and also not the killing of Black and brown folks by police. So the best thing we all can do to improve our communities is fund things that work. But specifically what happened in 2020 is it really raised the alarm about what folks experience with police interactions, whether they initiated it, whether they were on the receiving end of it, whether they were in the vicinity. I have a number of personal experiences that I've experienced with police in my own city and in other cities across this country. So I'm not telling you what somebody else told me. I'm telling you what I know myself. I'm telling you, I watched a woman be body slammed by police in front of me. I took a step off of the curb and I was arrested and bruised in multiple places. And Internal Affairs said they found no wrongdoing. Now, you tell me why I or anybody else would want to fund the abuse of a woman, since we protected women around here, at the hands of police. Those things just shouldn't happen. It is beyond a training issue. It is beyond a culture issue. There are certain things in this country that need reforms, and we need to fund things that work, and not just work for one group of people, one socioeconomic group of people, one ethnic group of people, that works for all the people that have to live together in a community. So yes, protests happen. Yes, rallies happen. Yes, reforms change all across this country, all because police wanted to take out somebody because they didn't value Black lives, even though we are the people that truly built this country. Second to indigenous people and Native Americans.
Are you ever let me talk? That is an awful long soliloquy.
You had a chance to talk.
And I talked for about 30 seconds and then I let you have your turn.
That's your choice.
Well, I don't know if Brian's audience just wants to constantly listen to you. I mean, this is supposed to be back and forth.
Well, I was invited here and I have more to say about something. It's not my fault that you don't or you're not adept to the issues. That's not my problem.
I was going to let you cook. But
ma'am.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, and let me explain it to you. Believe it or not, I'm darker than you.
What's that mean? So now you're a colorist.
What does it mean? What does it mean? You know,
hey guys, I gotta move on to Trump, y'all.
No, I have family members that were police, and you never heard me say all police were bad, but I did.
50 million people in this country, plus 11 million illegal aliens. Are all police bad?
The fact that you call them illegal aliens is a racist remark, and it's derogatory.
Ma'am, I worked at the Department of Homeland Security as a senior advisor anybody who comes across our border who has not been invited and who has not gone through the legal process
Illegal
is
immigrant.
illegal.
There's not an alien.
And
They're
here's the
not.
thing. Your tax dollars are going to put them into luxury hotels in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles. You would be
My tax
surprised.
dollars also funded police officers that abused me and got away with it. And that's not where I
And
want
all
the money.
police officers abused you?
No, but a number of them did. And
Well,
it's
I don't
on
know
record.
them. I haven't abused you.
You don't have to, right? You now don't know the ones that abuse people, but you coincidentally know the ones that have the perfect record.
I don't know anybody who has a perfect record. I don't.
That's exactly my point.
Okay, guys,
So
hold
you
on.
say
We got
cops are good.
there you go. Everybody got a daddy in a home, and all cops are good. Okay, we got that. We have to move on to my boy Trump and taking L's. All right. So what do you guys think about what happened? Guys, it was all good just a month ago. The man got shot. My mama thought he died, so it was a failed assassination, so she's wanted to off herself. So
Oh man.
all of this happening. Biden was in a race. It was weekend at Bernie's or weekend at Biden's. Now looking back, why is Kamala leading in swing states and Trump is on an Obama phone on Twitter?
We're gonna let the flowers go first because he got so much to say. So let him have the floor first.
We're gonna give you your flowers first. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bernie.
Right.
Go ahead.
You're very funny. Have you looked at, first of all, back in about a month ago, MSNBC basically stated that Kamala Harris was the lowest ranked vice president in history.
Facts.
And less than 3 weeks later, she is our savior. How can that happen? Now,
Life magazine.
Do you really believe the mainstream media?
Nah.
I don't. And the bottom line is, let's see, Harris notched, this is from an NBC News poll, and this is in June. Harris notched a 32% approval rating among 1,000 registered voters in the polls taken on June 16th from June 20th. Poll carries a 3.1 percentage margin of error. Of those polled, 49% they have a negative view of Ms. Harris, including a whopping 39% who said they have a very negative view of her. So how can she have secured the Democrat nomination? Have the Democrats disenfranchised their voters who chose her? When is the nomination process?
I thought the question was, why is she doing so well in the polls? And I didn't hear that answered yet.
I answered you when I said that, do you trust the media? Because the media is owned by the very same
But Bernie,
people.
just a month ago, Trump was leading in the polls.
Exactly. I just said that. I just explained to you why is it that MSNBC, who should be very friendly to Ms. Harris, in June rated her the worst vice president ever, and then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, she's ahead. And if you look at her website, I did that, and she has no policies listed. Now, if you look at Trump's website, he's got 15 or 16 things that I can read off to you that basically this is his policy platform.
So he should be leading in the polls, right? If that's
No,
the case.
not necessarily, because we don't trust the polls. At least I don't. He was behind in the polls when he ran against Biden, let's see, who did he run against the last time when he won? And we know what he's going to do because he was president for 4 years. Now, on the other hand, inflation is wild. I don't know if you guys have student loans, but that's something I would be concerned about if I was of your generation. And the issue of the day is the economy is terrible right now. People your age are having trouble buying houses. And if Miss Harris has been in office for the last 3.5 years, the question is, what has she done about it?
Yes.
Is that it? Did you get that all out? I just want to make sure if I get started, because I start with
you can go ahead and start.
I start with hot grease. So the question about why she's higher in the polls now is, first of all, we know polls are indicative of moments, right? So when the debate happened, the polls change. As they have these different rallies, the polls change. As different polls happen across the country to different voting blocks, polls change. Different events drive the polls, and who puts out the poll also drives the poll. So yes, some of them are a little more prestigious than others, but yes, some of them do hold more weight. It's not to say that if you took a poll today and here comes the debate September 10th, that the different just before or just after. So that's number one. Also, anybody who's up in the polls is going to push the poll higher because it reflects more positively for them. Vice President Harris being up in the polls, she's going to push that. Former President Donald Trump is up in the polls, he's going to push that, and then they're going to be quiet when they're down. It happens that way based on who's up and who's down. Now, to be more specific about why she's up in the polls is because nobody wanted to see Trump and Biden as a rematch. Like, nobody wanted to see that. Nobody is over the moon about it being Trump, even if you are a Trump guy. Nobody's over the moon about it being Biden, him getting pushed aside, and it now being Vice President Kamala Harris.
Any general Democrat would have done better than Biden against Trump.
The other reason she's up in the polls is because people have an excitement about seeing a Black woman be at the top of the ticket. That is not something we've had the luxury of seeing. This country has been run by white men for our entire lifetime, and so now we truly have an opportunity to see something different. Does that make her perfect? No. Do we need to see where she stands on policies? 100%. But a lot of this built-in excitement is coming from the fact that we're going to actually get to see this on a ticket. We're going to see it on a ballot. And I think after the first debate happens between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Harris, we'll really get a taste of what a potential presidency would look like going forward from either of them, which will also impact the polls for sure.
Are we sure she's Black?
As Black as I'm looking at you, is as Black as she is as Black as I am too.
Well, we know her mother is Indian. She admits that. But her father admits to being Indian and Scottish. And they lived in Jamaica. So he doesn't claim African heritage, which means her claim of being Black is something that has to be
It's not
proved.
a claim if that's what she is.
Hold on, Bob. Bern, you was about to get into it, but I wanted to go back to the Twitter thing.
Yeah.
So you guys, he was on the Obama phone, and is it me or is it because they don't have Trump is searching for a way to attack Kamala, like you said, we go at her race. I'm waiting for Willie Brown to come out. But he did. Yeah, he already brought him out. All right. But it just
I
seemed
didn't
like
notice what kind of phone he was on, but I'll tell you,
but it
any
seemed like
chance,
he was very low energy, Trump.
Well, you know, I can tell you, and I'm not trying to take up for Trump, but I have run for office before, and having been deployed to Afghanistan, deployed to Iraq, leading troops, I've even been to the Ukraine. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life was running for office. It is time consuming. It is exhaustive. And so for a man that age to keep up that kind of energy is remarkable. And more importantly, whether he was running for office or not, if you got a chance to see two successful businessmen that are billionaires talk, I'm going to be quiet and listen, and I'm not going to care what kind of phone they have.
Okay. I'm definitely going to care about the phone because I haven't seen $1 billion yet in my lifetime. I don't get into other people's bank accounts, but if you got that much money and you're not helping your community, your money ain't doing nothing for me or anybody else. But I think that Trump is drawing for straws. I think the fact that he is back on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days is his attempt to reach a different block of voters. He is trying to figure out who exactly his base is outside of his dedicated MAGA following. He's trying to figure out where he can touch people, where he can agree with them, where he can engage with them. And he knows Twitter is still a very, very active place. Yes, he does his thing on Truth Social, which he has a significant stake in, but him doing that with Elon, it's like Elon's got money forever. He could blink and make billions of dollars. What does that have to do with policy that affects me or anybody else? And they did it on Twitter Spaces, which why not Clubhouse?
Right.
Why do we do it on Twitter Spaces? You know,
he
Well,
did
Elon
say
happens to own Twitter. If I owned a platform like that, that's what I would do. It benefits both of them to do it on Twitter.
and it's both going to result in a loss in November, but
But
matter.
most of the time he spent more time talking about Biden.
Forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably.
Yeah.
Look, he hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started. And say what you want. This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said, we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him.
What they did with this guy, and I'm no fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history.
So instead of Kamala, so Bernie, what do you think he needs to stop doing or do to change what's going on?
You know, here's the thing, the way I see it. I look at policies. I don't look at individuals. I could care less about Trump or Elon or Kamala or anything else. The issue of the day is that the economy is falling apart. We've got 11 million illegals. I helped bring some of them here at my job at DHS, and I walked away from a maxed out GS-15 because of principle, because I didn't feel comfortable about bringing all these unvetted people into the United States during COVID. Think about it. We brought 18,000 Haitians in 2021 into the United States. They were unvetted. People don't know about that. I was in the middle of it.
So you was there when the guy had the chicken plate. He was getting whooped by the border agent on the horse. He was holding on
Actually,
to
that was a camera trick, and you can look it up.
Come on, brother.
It didn't happen like that. And you can
That
take
was
that as
CGI?
an angle. But let me explain something to you. Now, I'm coming at you from 34 years of experience, 21 years in the Air Force, another 14 in three-letter agencies. Okay? We've got bigger problems than arguing about race and gender and those sorts of things like that. We're in a war with a near-peer nuclear power, okay, in Iraq. I mean, I'm sorry, in Afghanistan. I've been to so many places, it's crazy. I meant Ukraine. They have nuclear weapons. Any discharge of a nuclear weapon would basically end our civilization. It won't matter what color you are. That has to stop. The issue of the day is, do you see Miss Harris standing up to Putin? That's the real bottom line. Everything else can be fixed, but that can't. And I just don't think that she's the right person. Now, whether people vote for her or not, we'll find out. But the issue of the day is job one of the president is to keep us safe. And do you realize that we're $35 trillion in debt? That's $200,000 per citizen, per tax-paying citizen. $35 trillion in debt is unrecoverable. And that is what has happened over the last 4 years. And how are we going to pay that money back? Your children's children will have to pay that money back unless we make some serious changes. And Ms. Harris has been in office for 3.5 years, and I don't know that she's done anything to solve that problem.
But she's also not been the president, and former President Donald Trump has been, and even before, during the campaign, and certainly while he was elected, he's continued to fearmonger, and he's continued to prey on people's fears in order to promote his side of things, whether it's policies, personal thoughts, ideologies, whatever. And since then, people have become more far right and more extreme, and think that a lot of his followers think they can walk up to folks that look like us and call us the N-word, amongst other things.
Ma'am, I was talking about the national debt.
He's okay with this. And I'm talking, no, you talked about safety, and that's what I'm talking about. And under former President Donald Trump, I didn't feel any more safe while he was president because of the ideologies and principles that he promoted. So he doesn't equal safety to me, nor do I trust him to stand up to anybody.
But you know that
Well,
Kamala's going to continue the Biden administration, right?
I
And
do have issue with us
and
not
it's you
knowing where
and it
she
was
stands
Biden's
on foreign
war.
policy.
It was Biden's war, and right now we are in
I agree
we are in
with that.
Russian territory
I
right
agree
now.
with that. I agree that we need to know exactly where she stands on foreign policy and what she's gonna do going forward. We do
And
need
she
to know that
hasn't
because we
she hasn't
don't
put
know.
nothing yet.
Correct. And
so
that's
so
problematic.
how long do you think she has until
She don't. She doesn't.
so she's
She
hiding?
day
She's
one,
hiding.
100%. 100%. I agree that she is avoiding the press because she feels like she is going to be asked about things, and either she doesn't have a prepared answer, or she knows that the answer she's going to give is not going to be satisfactory to the people in her voting base, which is why she's holding back 100%. But that still doesn't mean that former President Donald Trump is the right guy either. It
we
does.
have
It's
two
not an
choices.
either or.
It
No, we
isn't
don't
either
have
or.
two choices because we actually have third party candidates. Despite what people feel about it,
Yeah.
it does exist. It does
Okay, well
exist.
then you can go ahead and vote for Mr. Kennedy if you wish.
I didn't tell you who I was voting for, and on any platform have I not said who I was voting for. But what I can be honest about is the realities that are associated with former President Donald Trump, whether they are favorable or not, and the realities that sit with Vice President Kamala Harris, whether they are favorable or not. And that's what we owe to the American people when we talk about this stuff, is to have the honest conversation, regardless of who we will vote for, because people need information, and we are considered experts or more intricate into these conversations.
Well, ma'am, while I was wearing my military uniform for 21 years and commanding troops in foreign lands, I hope I made you feel safe.
Indeed.
I have much respect for people who serve, including my grandfather who served in the Navy, my aunts and uncles who serve and currently have contracts with the Pentagon right now. 100%. But former President Donald Trump was also not president at that time either. And I would be real curious to see what troops think about him in today's society.
I would venture to say that most of the troops that I know are very supportive of the Republican Party. And they are less
That's
supportive.
the party. That's not former President Donald Trump.
That's true. Hold on, y'all. I want to get to something. We got 2 minutes left. I want to get to ALSOBROOKS and Hogan. She's up by 9, but a couple months ago she was up by 11. So but what do you think? I thought Hogan had it in the bag, but what do you guys think about the influence, the impact of former Republicans, anti-Trump voters when it comes to this race and when it comes to the big ticket? Like, where do you think they're going to go?
I'll let you go first.
I think independents are screaming to be heard. I think there are people in both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party that are unhappy with leadership from the top all the way down. And so now we're seeing more and more independent voters. We're seeing more and more people decide elections based on a single issue that they promote. I think Hogan was leading, and it seemed more likely to be his thing in his win. But I think also, Brooks, it was a slow burn. And she slowly increased with her reception. Obviously her funding. I don't know how it's gonna shake out though. I think Hogan tends to attempt to lean a little bit left, but he ain't really left at all. But just enough to appeal to independent voters, and also Brooks is more progressive. So it's really gonna come down to who speaks to those voters in the moment right before they go to the ballot box. It's not an easy thing to pick out. I can't call that one.
Fair.
I'm not a fan of ALSOBROOKS. I believe that she is far too progressive in her policies for me. However, I'm very lukewarm to when it comes to Mr. Hogan. And the reason I say that is because he said that he will not support the Republican Party if Mr. Trump gets elected. And the bottom line is it divides the electorate. And if you don't have a house divided will not stand. So I can't full-throated give an endorsement of Mr. Hogan. And Miss Brooks, she leaves me in a place where I don't see a real alternative for me. But it is what it is, and we'll have to deal with it when November comes. But right now, I know a lot of people in the Republican Party who are not very happy. Specifically, I was in a county fair just recently in Howard County, and we were selling Trump signs. People were buying them like hotcakes. We were giving away Hogan signs, and I was there for 3 days, and I only saw 2 given away. People weren't asking for them. They were very angry with him.
Wow.
And again, his policies have not been very conducive to a conservative way of thinking.
Yeah, he so wants to distance himself from Trump, and he's
Yeah.
all by himself. And then and also Brooks got the whole Avengers by her side. She got Wes Moore, she got Warnock, you know.
Yes. And they're bringing
Yeah.
in lots of outside money. So, the bottom line is, Hogan, he's going to have to either change his ways, or he's going to lose. The only way he can win is to lean a little bit more to the right, but I don't think that he's willing to do that. And I can say that as a Howard County Central Committee member. So I'm still involved in politics. So bottom line is Maryland is a tough place to live for a conservative.
I think it's a good example of how, or better yet, what former President Donald Trump's impact is or is not on down ballot races.
All right, well, guys, that was a fiery show.
You say you running plays, that's it's talk. You say you getting paid, that's it's talk. You see me with my babe, that's it's talk. The money in that way, that's it's talk. I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg. I beg.